Welcome to the Furloko Podcast.
Where crazy fluff butts talk about things.
And sometimes things you wish you never heard of.
And with your hosts,
DJ for 3.
and we're Fox 18. So how are you all today? Everyone doing okay?
Oh, I mean,
Hey.
it's definitely been it's been there. I'll just put it that way. It's good, but it's been there.
It has been kind of a weird day. Things have been breaking a lot. Don't you love technology? Hey, how about we go with that for today's theme? Why don't we just talk about random changes in technology since we were young? Things that we've seen, things that we like about technology, things that we wish it would go, maybe where we hope it'll go in the future. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah. Or whatever
Alright.
our brains just run off with.
I mean,
If that
you're
happens,
not wrong.
stay tuned.
I have been known to rattle off on a tangent, and we rarely get a sign for it.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
If that was...
Yes, I got him. I got him. I got him. The math puns succeeded. And now you know why we're called Furloko.
At this point,
He's dead, Jim.
I mean, I am kind of crazy, but I think this comes from you.
I helped.
You helped. You led the charge.
Oh no.
Oh
No.
Lord. Well, get ready.
Yep.
Shush,
So-
Omni.
Oh man. In the first episode, we did talk a little bit about video games and how they changed, but what about technology in general? Like, when I was a little kid, it was really neat because computers were kind of new. They were still really big. They had the big bulky monitors that were all CRT. My first computer was a 486SX from Packard Bell. And the first computer I actually used was my grandfather's IBM 5150. It ran DOS. Everything was on 5 1/4 inch floppies, 3 1/2 inch floppies. Later, it was upgraded to have a 20 megabyte hard drive. Yeah, I know that's small, but back in the day, it wasn't so small, and you could hear the platters on that thing spin up from across the house when you'd flip the switch to turn it on.
Yeah. Yeah, well, my oldest technology ain't that old.
Fair enough.
Because, like, with the ramblings of the pilot, that was all, like, my oldest thing was a little Game Boy. Which, I have said that I played Kid Next Door on it, and, the triple minigame that had Payday, Life, and Yahtzee. But one thing I forgot to mention that I absolutely binged on it more than anything else, the Spyro trilogy. I had all 3 Spyro games. And
Those were always fun.
yeah. Even though that screen was, like, literally, like, I don't know, like, that big? Like,
Yeah.
it was that big. But I was
Like a
just sitting
2.5
there.
inch screen.
Yeah. That or, like, a 3-inch screen. Yeah. If any of you,
Maybe.
hopefully, if any of you know what a Game Boy cartridge looks like, take the size of that and make it the screen. That's what you got to work with.
Pretty much. I had the old original Game Boy, the big fat one. Those things were pretty indestructible too. I was impressed with their build quality back in the day.
And mine was red.
160 by 120 resolution, right? Yeah. Things have changed a lot
Meanwhile,
since then.
you take that amount of pixels to what we have now in most monitors that can go up to.
I know. I mean, we got phones that can do 4K and stuff.
Well, from what Omni just said, try and imagine VRC where we are in that resolution of 120 by 160.
It would look terrible. It's not possible. It would look so bad.
I think going from there to what we have now, which is VR and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe we should have Omni do that second at that do a section of that in that resolution just to give people an idea of what that would look like nowadays. You wouldn't even probably be able to tell what we are.
Just crop it down. Omni, just crop it down to that amount of pixels. So like as we're talking about it, the picture just gets smaller to those pixels.
Oh, that would be funny if we could do that. Yeah. But no. Times have changed a lot, though, since then.
Well, yeah.
You know, when I was growing up...
storage size and speed of processors and stuff like that.
Oh, God, yeah.
In all
Definitely.
devices. Like computers, consoles, handhelds, phones, everything.
Let me say something. Yeah, like that IBM 5150 had an 8086 processor that was running at about 4 megahertz, give or take. Think about that one. 4 megahertz. Had 64 kilobytes of RAM, and that's after we had had it upgraded.
You wanna know what's funny? The first time I heard you say that, 4 megabytes, or megahertz. First time I heard that, I was like, wait, but that's what I have. And I was like, hey, brain, it's 4 gigahertz.
Yeah, exactly.
if my PC had that shit now, I wouldn't be here.
Exactly. I know. It'd be so bad. And even my
I would have a better chance at being on a mobile phone.
Pretty much. And my mobile phone, I think, is running. I think my mobile phone that I have is just a cheap one currently. I mean, it's not like super cheap. It's the Motorola. It's a Motorola G Stylus, and I think it's running at about 2 gigahertz just by itself, which is 2,000 megahertz or so for reference.
Yep.
And mind you, back then it was a single core processor. And it wasn't, and it definitely wasn't 64-bit. 64-bit didn't exist yet.
Well, yeah, it's bits, bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes.
Yeah, something along those lines. Terabytes and
terabytes. Yeah, petabyte. PETA. It's a petabyte.
That's a lot of storage too, when you think about it. Man.
Yeah, that's 1,000 terabytes. 1,024 terabytes.
Didn't need to know that, Omni.
What the fuck did he say? What'd you say?
He was talking about...
You going on a high-pitched voice, saying nothing says guilty.
He was saying he could fill that really quickly with non-kosher things. Let's just leave it at that. This is what happens when
You're
we
supposed to
hire
be
a
a good
cat for our
kitty.
cameraman.
Oh yeah, there's never a good cat.
How many people here have
They're
successfully
all
trained a cat? Not me.
well, I mean, maybe besides
Oh.
my cat, baby kitty.
uh,
Like maybe besides my baby kitty,
I've never seen a trained cat, but I have
because
seen a train of cats. But that got derailed pretty quick when one saw another cat and hissed and ran away. What? Yeah, that's fair. But no, one of my partners, Omni, they're our cameraman, and he's a sweetheart. But he's always trying to crack me up and break me while we're filming. And so if you just randomly see me just bust out laughing, that's why. No, it doesn't take much. Oh,
yeah, but you're supposed to be
we
the
always love you.
cameraman. That
I
means
can't
you
do a heart
need
like
to
that, but I can do it with my
sheesh.
ears. There you go. Ear heart. Anyway, we got derailed horribly
This,
there. Sorry for that train of thought.
yeah, that didn't last long.
No, I knew it wouldn't. But talking about how things have just changed so much since then, um, my first graphics card that I purchased to put in a computer. Granted, it was an older computer at this time. I was like 9 years old, maybe, and I still had that that 486 SX. My grandfather had the Packard Bell Legend 486 DX, which mine was a little micro tower. His was the desktop one that laid flat. You could set the monitor on top of it and all that. Um, this thing had just built-in onboard VGA graphics, nothing fancy. I think at the time, I think it was I think it was just standard 256 color on it because it was running Windows 3.1 and everything. Well, I got bored one day, took it all apart, went with my grandfather to a used computer parts place, and back then, these old computer parts store, one of them was called the Dollar Parts Store, one was called I think something like Computer Renaissance or maybe something like that. I don't know for certain. But these places had what they called dollar parts bins. You could go in there and buy any part in those bins for $1. And a lot of them were older parts, or some of them were just not tested. They just got it as scrap, didn't bother testing it. And I went in there and just bought like a bunch of old processors. One was an Intel Overdrive chip that ran at 70 megahertz. And I think the other one was a Pentium 90 that I picked up. And I bought some bigger heat sinks, some cheap thermal paste, and I found this graphics card. It was a PCI graphics card, and it was a Verge. It was I think it was a Verge S3 DX or something like that. And it had, I don't think it was the Verge Pro, but it was just the S3 Verge, I think DX, and it had 4 megabytes of graphics memory. Yeah, 4 megabytes.
Or
Yep.
meg.
hmm And to give you an idea, the computer originally
I'd be
had
lucky if I get
256
4
colors.
gig.
That's not bits. That's the number of colors it could display originally. It was 256 colors. The monitor was capable of a bit more than that, being CRT and everything, but the onboard graphics on it could only output those 256 colors. That was it, not more, and just that was it. So I took this thing apart. I picked up a hard drive there because it originally had like a 200 megabyte hard drive. I put a 1 gigabyte hard drive in it because at the time a 1 gigabyte hard drive was pretty good. I think I paid $10 for it used. And I got through putting this thing back together, and it originally ran at 50, like 50 or 55 megahertz. I was able to get the Intel Overdrive to boot up in it, and I had it running at 70 megahertz, which was a pretty big performance gain for that old of a PC. I was surprised the motherboard supported it, but I was a kid just kind of messing around just to see what would happen anyway. So if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. And eventually I did finally get it to work on the Intel Pentium 90. It only ran at 88 megahertz because that's as high as the jumpers would go, but it did technically work and it was stable, so it was still a pretty good gain. And I upgraded the RAM from like the 4 megs of RAM I had to 16. Um, and I put that graphics card in it. Found the drivers. Took me a while to find the drivers. Got them installed. Things were not simple back then. It was not plug and play. I installed Windows 95. Had to mess with some IRQ settings. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's your hardware addresses. I won't go into much more detail than that because I don't want to bore you. But had to assign a lot of that manually. Got the graphics card working, and suddenly I had 16-bit color. Yeah, about 65,000 colors. I'm not going to go in more detail, but you know, that was a huge jump, and it was like everything looked so much better. But now we've got graphics cards that have what 16 gigabytes or more on a card, just VRAM and faster VRAM. Yeah,
Millions.
so there you go. Omni's got one that's got
Billions.
24 gigs. Yeah, so it's just insane to see how much things have changed since then.
Lucky
And I
you.
remember, when I finally got my Voodoo FX card. It was a Voodoo 3 3000, and it had 16 megabytes of accelerator memory. And it's actually kind of what started off in if you want to be if you want to kind of get dirty with it, you could say that they're the reason that NVIDIA exists today. They kind of started the 3DFX architecture and all that, or Glide. I think it was Glide actually.
Oh, damn.
I'd have to look that up. Don't quote me on that. I think it was the Glide architecture that they started. Yeah, but yeah. And suddenly having 32-bit color and everything. And at that time, I had a Hewlett Packard with a 333 megahertz AMD K6, and we thought that was lightning fast. That's nothing compared to now.
Well,
Oh.
honestly, with how like the speeds of my PC have been lately, I'd probably say that it's probably better than mine now.
Oh yeah.
Because I have
Oh.
all sorts of issues with this PC. All
Eh.
sorts.
Well, the thing is, technology changes all the time, and when you build your own stuff, there's always possibilities you could have hardware conflicts, software conflicts, and even pre-built systems suffer from that. And the more advanced technology gets, the more potential you have for issues. It's just the truth of it.
Hmm. But yeah, like there's so much that is quote unquote changed for the better.
Yes, very
But
much so.
sometimes I feel like I don't even get the better part.
I
I
mean,
feel like
the,
I'm getting the parts they're trying to transition into the better pieces, but can't. Voice crack.
I have that problem sometimes too, though. Uh, Um, but one of the things that has gotten better, in my opinion, is like back in the day, if you wanted to talk to more than one people at once over voice, you had to have what was considered a party line through a landline phone, and that always cost you more to do. And it was an option you had to get through your home phone provider if it was offered. Party lines were a thing, but you had to go through um, and connect to each person and go through a central hub. Either I think that like the operator house or whatever. So it was kind of a complex process. Now you can just do it on your computer or your phone through like Discord or Telegram or whatever. And just be like, hey, group call.
Speaking of Discord,
Hmm.
speaking of
Yeah,
Discord,
Skype, TeamSpeak, and Ventrilo were a thing too, and they kind of got that whole thing started with the voice over IP. Huh?
just saying, speaking of Discord, we have our own.
This is true. We do have our own Discord, so if people ever want to just come visit, chat with us, they're welcome to join. We'll
Which
probably
we
put a
will
link to it in the
have
description.
in the description.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have it by like the first episode, but but
Right.
it is in the description. Never really talk about it because it's don't want to. I kind of don't want to be the kind of person that is just like, here, let's push everything
Yeah,
right
I'm
now.
kind of the same on that. Definitely.
So, like, with the whole thing of liking and subscribing, I also don't want to be the person that's just like, alright, you have to do this right at the start of the video. You haven't
Push
watched
subscribe and
anything
ring the
yet.
bell. Yeah, I know. I'm one of those
Like,
people. I like to see things
do
grow more
it if
naturally.
you want to. Like,
Yeah,
we're just doing this for fun. But like,
exactly. We had some time on our
if
pause. We
something
figured,
comes
why
of it,
not?
then well, yeah, and bring positive vibes or
Yeah.
vibes. Uh,
I
but
heart you all.
so I'll just say it this once. If you like it, like it. If you don't do anything. You want to see more, subscribe, but do that if you want to. Nothing, nothing's gonna be forced here. But anyways, I love all of you, but
Ye, very much
I just
so.
wanted to
Love
get that out
loves.
there.
Uh,
But
oh, speaking of iHeart, back when I was a kid, if we wanted to take music with us, we had to do it on a little cassette tape using a what was called a Walkman. The good old Sony Walkmans back in the day.
I
Then later, I was so excited to get a Discman. And now you can listen to things like live streaming music, like on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Satellite Sirius XM. All that are valid options on your phone today. Spotify, everything like that. It's crazy how much has
oh,
changed
that reminds me of this
in that regard,
stuff,
too.
the technology that I have in my drawer. I have a little tiny like pocket radio that you can literally tune into different stations on it, and then you just
Hmm.
plug in a headphone jack and clip it on your waistband. Uh, and funny enough, throughout all of middle school and a little bit of early high school, I had a CD man,
Hmm.
I
Those were
just
nice.
put stuff, put it in there, press play, and I just listened to it on the way to school, or if I'm bored, I,
And I
I
remember,
mean, it had no right in fitting, but I had sweatpants pretty much all the time, and I just took that and just shoved that bitch in my pocket.
hey,
It
with
barely fit
sweatpants and
in
stuff
there,
like that,
but
it could be done. It could be done, though. I
it
had
barely
jackets that
fit.
I could fit one in. And I thought it was awesome when like CD burners and stuff came out, and you could burn data discs, and you could just burn MP3s to a disc, and play it on a CD player that was capable of reading MP3 data, and you could suddenly fit several albums on one CD. I thought that was amazing for its time. And
Eh,
yeah, and I was always really obsessed with technology as a kid. I was really big into electronics up until like when I was in college. Then I got bored with it because I tried to do it as a career. Sometimes funny how a career can run your hobbies sometimes. But I had some really obscure stuff. I had an MP3 player that if you've ever seen what a zip disk looks like, um, this was a miniature version called the Iomega Click Drive, and it had miniature 40 megabyte zip disks that would plug into the MP3 player, and you could fit about one or two albums on those. And that was pretty neat because it was portable, and you could have multiple albums with you in just like a little tiny book. And then that progressed to having more MP3 players. But I also, before MP3 players were real big, I also had these Sony mini disc players. I still love them because I think they have a little bit better quality than some MP3, depending. Like if you go into too much compression on them, then they can be a little iffy. But I thought they were great. I liked them over CD because they were more portable than CDs. But CDs ultimately kind of won over. Yeah. the reason CDs won though is because everybody had a CD player. So when the CD burner came out, people just kept with that format until MP3 players became a thing, and then people eventually could play MP3s on their phone. But yeah, it's
Yeah, most of the time, whenever I used a CD burner,
hmm
uh,
I liked my
like the
original
only time
iPod.
I actually used like an actual CD burner or just burn music CDs was if I had like a custom mix that of all my favorite songs, because obviously we would buy all we had all the CDs, and then I just I was like, I don't want to constantly swap between CDs just to listen to all my favorite songs from all these different artists of all these different CDs that I have. Like, I literally have a rack on my wall that is just filled with CDs that I've
Oh
listened in the
yeah,
past.
I've got boxes
And
full of them in
I,
storage too.
I, like, there's some that are sitting next to my computer that are my burn discs that I've had of all the music of that are mixed together. And so it's just one way to pretty much get all of my favorite songs and stuff in one place. So I didn't have to carry a stack with me. So, I mean, if that was illegal, I don't understand why, because I bought the CDs. I never did it to sell it. I used it for personal use.
Right.
But la di da di
We
da,
can
it's a law.
Yeah, we can get into the whole rabbit hole of DMCA at some point if people really want us to, but that gets complicated fast. Like I've done a lot of online radio broadcasting for like Relay for Life and helping with charity work, and we have to be compliant, because we are technically on a syndicated station at that point. And it's a lot to learn, a lot to memorize, and it's honestly hard for some people to fully understand unless you really get like legal assistance with it because it is complicated. But that's its own topic for another time because that's a topic that could span a long period of time because there's just so much to it. Um, but no, it's funny though. We've kind of gotten spoiled in the modern age by our technology too when you think about it. Because when I was growing up, we either had to listen to an entire album on a cassette. Sure, we could fast forward or whatever, but you couldn't really skip tracks. And then when the CD came out, yeah, you could skip tracks, but you were still limited to what was on that disc. Um, and now we can listen to whatever. We can make playlists of just random songs, either on an MP3 player, and just have the songs we want to hear from various artists, or we can make playlists on things like Spotify and just stream it. And we're no longer just specifically limited to what's either playing at that moment on AM/FM radio or what's on our disc or cassette or 8-track if you remember those. And
My
hey, I still have vinyl. Vinyl's relevant again.
yeah, my younger brother has a vinyl player.
Yeah. There is something about the sound of vinyl. It's just got this nice warm uplifting tone to it. It's just so lively sounding. It's just a very distinct sound.
Yeah, and like all the stuff like with playlists, like I remember that for the longest time, like I had Pandora, just
Yep.
the free version of Pandora, and it was so difficult just to get what you wanted. Like you can curate your um stations to what you want, but it took forever. So like
Oh
if you
yeah.
only wanted a specific artist on that station, Scroozy, then it would just be like upvote or hit like on the songs of that artist that you want, and everything else dislike, 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 dislike.
Mhm.
And then after like an hour, it's like you've reached your maximum dislikes.
And
What?
maximum number of skips for the day.
Yeah, it's that and
Yep.
having to deal with ads as well. Ugh. But
Yeah. But it's gotten better with time.
ever since my family got Spotify Premium for the whole family, it's just like,
Right?
yep, yep. I got like honestly, I think I have at least a single playlist on Spotify for every different mood I could be in.
Same. Like
Like right now in the background, I have a playlist that I made called Feel Vibes Man, and it's literally just a whole bunch of songs that you can just put on, and no matter what mood you're in, you're bound to just vibe to it
yeah.
and just chill out.
I need to set up my
It's the
Spotify
chill
playlists again,
vibes,
update them a bit.
man.
I haven't used it in a while because I kind of went back to satellite radio. But
Oh yeah, we got a little like we got a little envelope that was like you get paid uh just to fill it out, and you would fill out like what time of day it is, what radio station you
oh,
tuned into for
basically
like
the
how many
ratings paperwork.
hours. And you know what I did? Mine was every day, Spotify, forever.
Yeah.
Because in our cars, we had little sticks that were Bluetooth FM.
Oh, nice.
So we could just plug it into the where the cigarette lighter would go, and like
Yeah.
it would override a radio station that's like out of range. So just override it, and then you can connect your phone via Bluetooth to that stick, and it would just play it in the car.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of things like that's one of the reasons MP3s and stuff took over. And by the way, your avatar was wigging out there for a second. So you might want to stand up and sit back down. I don't know what happened, but your head just like spun around for a second. It was almost like something out of The Exorcist. Oh, it was
Well, I
that
mean,
was trippy.
if it happens to crack my neck, I'll thank it. I haven't been able to crack my neck in a long time. Actually,
Oh, if I were to, it'd probably be
since
really loud. Like, hold on a second, see if it will.
since
Ah.
oh, you're lucky that you can still do it. I haven't been able to crack my neck since junior year of high school, and that's like
Uh,
six,
I don't even
7
have
years
to
ago.
try. That's the bad part. I don't. It just does it on
Yeah,
its
well,
own sometimes.
I tried to the point where I feel like I'm gonna snap my neck in half and it won't go.
You don't want to force it. That's not healthy. But no.
But I don't want to go to, like, I don't have any money, so I can't go to the chiropractor. So it's just like,
Eh,
I kind of gotta deal with it. At the very least,
all right.
I am happy that I can crack my back.
Yeah, yeah.
Like literally, once I get out of bed, like my morning routine once I get out of bed is roll over on my stomach, and then I can cross. Like if I lay on one side, I'd cross. Like let's say I'm laying on my left side, I'll cross my right leg over, and it's like in a pyramid, like a triangle shape, and then the other one straight, and I put my right hand on my right hip, push it that way, whilst I turn my upper
Mhm.
body, I can crack it, and I'll do it same to the other side. And then because my ceiling still has popcorn ceiling, and
Oh, I
I am
hate
one
those.
hairy motherfucker, uh, I sleep on a bunk bed. So like I can go like this, and my if my elbow is sitting on my bed, my middle finger touches the roof. Like that's how much space I got.
That's
And
so dear.
so I'll literally just do my morning stretches, crack my shoulders, and then itchy back when I wake up, just put it to the ceiling and just a little
Crack.
back scratcher,
Oh,
and then I get
goodness.
down out of bed.
Hey. Oh man.
It's a free back scratcher. What can I say?
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Thanks for that
Reaching
tangent.
places I
Should I go
can't
on a
get.
co-tangent? I'm not sorry. Some people call me the Punisher. I don't know if I should apologize or not.
Oh my fucking god. If anything, I'm the Punisher. We won't go into why, but
Awkward. Anyway. Nah, it's all good. So where were we? I'm so fluffy and innocent, right? Anyway.
for as long as I've known you, one of those things are a lie. We'll leave it up to the
Yeah,
audience
I'm not
on which
cute.
one that is.
I'm not cute.
You're cute as hell.
Don't lie to
Shut
me.
up.
Anyway. Oh, you mean this southern accent, Omni? Is that what you're talking about? You like it when I go on rambling like this? Oh gosh, now okay. Once I start, I can't stop. That's the problem. Crap. My crap baskets. How
But
dare
I
you?
love
How
it.
dare you record me doing this? Anyway. Uh, I'm rambling in my southern drawl. So I know we're kind of separated by a generation, maybe, or at least a part of a generation in age, but we both grew up seeing technology evolve throughout our lives. What kind of things that's come out recently that are you really enjoy? Like, what kind of technology changes do you find fascinating?
Well, one thing, if it's not like completely obvious, I mean, if I had a better PC, VR. Like, I
I would
absolutely love
agree.
VR. At first, I didn't really, like, honestly, at first, I didn't really think I would get into it as much. But once I found out about VR chat, and I found out that I can still move around without having the need to stand up, I got used to some stuff, and like it's made my life better. Like not in terms of like activity of going out or anything, but it's generally made me happier. Because I get to see you, I get to see Lease and Omni, I get to see all my friends that I've met. Now,
Hmm.
yes, all of you are all across the globe. Some of you are a couple states away, others are halfway around the globe. But
Right, like our cameraman, he's over in the UK.
like I'm I absolutely love VR. If I didn't get into it, I wouldn't be here. This probably wouldn't have started.
Oh, very much the same. Yeah.
Like it's just this is the most fascinating to me.
It
Like,
really is, and
it doesn't take much, but this is just it's changed for the better.
it has. It's fascinating to see just the creativity here in virtual reality too. People create so many fascinating worlds. Like the person that worked on this world did an amazing job, and it's just a simple box for us to have our podcast in, and it's public, by the way. Many people can use this world, and like this is just as simple as it gets, really, but it's still really well done. It's pretty. It's very low latency. We have almost no lag here usually. Um, and then you got these other worlds that some people just do some mind-blowing things in it. Like the coding in it has to be pretty intense just looking at what they do. You got all these games you can play, interactive worlds, certain physics that you can interact with. They have like physics simulators you can just come and play with here in VR chat. It's intense. And and there's people that's designed. Yeah, there's even like a Beat Saber world where you can come in here and play like a version of Beat Saber. It's kind of a little different, but it still plays a lot like the normal Beat Saber. And it's crazy what you can do here in virtual reality. Um, and like there's
Then
some that
at
I
least
like to
in
fly.
VRC, like at least in VRC, there are like literally every single world in this. Not really a game. It was initially meant to be a social platform, but in this game, everything, absolutely everything that you could possibly visit is created by the community.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, that's
Like,
what's mind
obviously,
blowing.
developers set up the very basics, but other than that, everything. This world created by a user that plays VRC. Like what she's saying with worlds that you can go to fly jets, that was created by a user, not the devs of the game, by a user that plays the game. Like it it
And
it's creativity. That's pretty much it.
I've even watched some of these worlds grow. Um, there's one. Let me pull up my menu because I always forget the name of it. It's one of the. It's not test pilots. It's a different one that I like too. Test pilots is fun if you like flying jets and shooting each other down, stuff like that. Having dogfights. The one that I enjoy just when I want to relax is called flight training, and it's a fun little world. Um, but basically, you can fly Cessnas and Pipers in it, just little single engine, small aircraft. And my favorite in there is the Cessna 172 because that's what I was actually learning to get my pilot's license on in real life before I had to quit for health reasons. I'm hoping to get back and finish it at some point, but um, I've watched it start out. When it first started, it was kind of basic, and then now it's gotten more and more realistic. They got more realistic instrumentation in it. It's very similar to what I actually used in the 172 that I was learning on. The radio is getting more realistic. The way they act in flight is starting to feel a little bit more realistic. I mean, all things considering, you're still having to fly with just your hand here in VR because you don't have a lot of haptic feedback or force feedback or anything like that. But we're getting there, and
Yeah,
it's
I
getting
mean
better all
that
the
is the
time.
downside
It's
is that there's no like you drive on. There's no you can just go like that. There's no like okay, I gotta actually put some force into it. It's just think.
hmm But it's still
So
amazing what
I
you can
guess
do in
that's the
here.
downside. But it like literally, there's a world that was telling uh, one of my friends down at a vape shop down the road from me. I was telling them about one of the worlds in here that literally you can drive a car and the steering wheel works. Like you
hmm
actually have to steer it. If it's a manual, you have to shift it. But if you have full body tracking, which just means you have a tracker on your hip and tracker on your feet so people can see your legs move, like
Right?
us, we're half bodies. So
At
for
least for the
people who
time
don't
being.
know, a half body is headset and hands, no full body. Like, right now I'm lounging, but obviously you can't see that. I'm a half body. But anyways, like, people who have full body, they can hop on those manual cars, and the pedals have physics, reaction. So you can hit the throttle with your foot. If you need to shift, you push the clutch in with your foot, shift, let go, and get back on the throttle.
That is
Like,
pretty
it's
fascinating that you can
crazy.
do that too. And by the way, for people that want to see what full body looks like, I do have a clip that I can give to our editor and he can put it in here if you want to see what full body looks like. And it's just a real short clip and it's something from another project. For those of you that don't know, I do have a TikTok, but we won't go there. But we can take that clip if you guys want to see what full body looks like.
Full body users, man, they gotta show off all the time. Like, for real. Why? Why do they always have to show off? Man, I absolutely love how reliable full body tracking is. It works great!
And yeah. But no, there's so many ways you can get full body now.
And
Yeah. Yeah, this is true. Um, but you can even get full body now with just a simple web camera. There's just the technology's out there. Sure, it's not going to be as precise as having the actual trackers or anything, but it's doable. So you can even do it on a budget now if you really want to.
yeah, there's things I've heard of that people were doing full body by using, like, bright strips or LED strips on their legs
Hmm.
and using an Xbox 360 or an Xbox One Connect sensor. Like,
Yep.
but somehow it works. That
Yep.
and facial
I've tried it.
tracking's becoming more of a thing.
Yeah, I have it, just not on this avatar yet. But the Quest Pro I'm using actually has the facial and eye tracking built in. If you want and give me a second, like put the camera on him for a
Essentially,
second, I can change into one and show it off real quick.
yeah. Essentially, it tracks your eyes, the dilation, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then same
One
thing
thing I
with the
have found
mouth.
with the Pro is it doesn't track the dilation yet. I don't know if that's just a limitation of the hardware or if that's in the software yet, but it does track my eye position pretty well. And, and it's got the infrared cameras right here in the nose that can see what my mouth's doing. So mm, mm, mm. I can even make some really, really broken faces. Oh! But anyway, um, and what's neat too
And then,
is with the modern technology, I can even have like a heart monitor on
yeah,
here. This avatar is set up for a haptic vest. So like, if you don't know what a haptic vest is, it's a vest you can wear that has like vibrating motors or other ways to make you feel what's happening in VR. Like say you're playing a game, you get hit with something, you can feel it. Yeah, I can turn it on real quick. Why? Oh no. They're just using this as an excuse to torment me again. I have so many videos of people tormenting me with my haptics on. They love to torture me. See, I didn't
Wait,
buy my
are they on?
haptics vest. I made it using an old Raspberry Pi as the controller, and it controls tense units
yeah, like
and
your
vibrating motors.
shoulder, like
I
your
wanted the
chest or something.
I wanted the tense unit because like if I'm playing a game such as like Prison Escape or Murder, I wanted to actually feel pain, so I had more motive to try and stay away and not get shot. It made it more challenging for me. Oh, but sometimes I've learned to regret it. Yeah, sure, why not? I'm probably gonna regret this so much. Probably gonna. Mm, mm, mm. Yes. So like when he touches my shoulders and my back, it vibrates a little bit back there because it's like the motor in your phone that makes it vibrate, or in your controllers here when you touch something. Whoop, and I sat down. It probably broke my face. Actually, it didn't. I'm surprised. That's a first. Usually it breaks my face.
No, it's broken. It's
Oh, yep,
broken.
it did. It finally broke. It's the smooth. Yeah, I'm going to real quick, but um, let's go back to my crux here and become the crux of the issue. And oh my goodness. But yeah.
She just went straight up. Whoop, 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 whoop,
I became a
whoop,
pretzel.
whoop.
But yeah,
We're good.
the technology is getting there. So soon you'll be able to feel the controls and stuff here in VR more precisely, I think, when you're flying or driving. Give it a few more years. I think we'll be there.
Yeah, and then it's just gonna be the money to actually get it.
Yeah, but I noticed some things are getting cheaper as the new stuff comes out. The older stuff gets cheaper, and it's opening the door for a lot of for a lot of people to get involved. And now, since games and stuff like VR chat, these social platforms are gaining more popularity and getting more interest in VR, a lot more people are getting interested in being able to move their legs, have full body, even DIY haptics, because they want to be able to experience like being in water, or maybe have a somewhat of an experience of being in free fall while they're skydiving. People are doing a lot of DIY projects, and they're finding cheap ways to implement that into their games. Like for example, a lot of the original trackers that you had to get for full body, you had to have the base stations and everything, and it would run you several $100s. And now you can do it with a $20 use Connect and a piece of software. Sure, it's not going to be as precise, but you can still do it. And now you get things like Slime VR, and it's completely open source. And if you want, you can build your own trackers for less than a couple $100s. And there's more and more options coming out every day. It's fascinating. But even if you just have a basic webcam or a cell phone that you can connect to your PC through Wi-Fi, there's pieces of software you can get or even purchase really cheap on Steam that'll allow you to use it similar to the Connect method, and it'll track your body that way as well.
Yeah, it's everything's like just all of the stuff that's VR is insane. That and like everyone with their creativity, like just there pretty much there's like a niche for just about anything. You
Oh,
just
yeah.
want to chill out, there's a world for that. Or worlds, but
There's even worlds
like,
where you can
do you want to
fish.
go into horror where you want to be jump scared in VR? There's worlds for that.
Oh yeah,
Puzzle and escape rooms, there's worlds for that. There's
there's a world where you
like,
can play the original Bejeweled.
yeah, yeah, that one I showed you. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's like board games and drinking games if you're of age, of course. And like, there's just a whole bunch of stuff. There's clubs to go in, like listen to music with a bunch of random people, or go in there with a bunch of friends and just have a party. And like, there's everything in here. There's a niche for almost anything.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Like
I kind of feel like at this point in time, we're doing a sponsor for VR chat.
oh goodness,
But I just love
I
it.
doubt that.
I actually love it.
I do too, and it's
You
neat
hear
because
that,
like
Pass?
you mentioned years ago, or not. You mentioned that sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Got derailed again. Come on, brain, think. Think, McFly, think. Okay, anyway. Anybody home, McFly? Okay. Sorry. Yes, I'm a big Back to the Future nerd. I can't help it. It's such a great trilogy.
Oh,
And
same.
that's where I was going. Now I know where I was going. You mentioned how a lot of us are scattered throughout the world. Like I'm in a different state from you. Omni's in a different country from us. Gleese is in another state. We got friends in Australia, UK, Germany. I've got one from the Netherlands and one from I think Sweden that I met the other day. Um, it's just
I
they're
got
all over
one
the
from
place. And what's
Finland.
cool is here in VR you can just hang out with them all and talk almost like you're face to face. And what's really cool is you can just sit there and like you can even watch like movies or videos together through the video players. Like if you wanted to, we could have a. Oh, I think I crashed. Nope. Okay, sorry. I was about to crash there. My computer downloaded an update. That's fine. But I was saying like this is technically a video player. This screen here, we could put videos up on it if we really wanted to, and sit here and watch them together. It's just the technology is really cool behind it all, and needless to say, we've come a long way from talking on a landline phone on really low fidelity to where it was really hard to understand what people would say sometimes because it was so compressed through the analog system and the just after traveling so much distance through copper wire, it was so flat sounding. So um, you just lost so much fidelity.
Monotone.
There's really no other way to explain it. Yeah, it was just terrible. And now you can hear ourselves in at least a halfway decent bit rate and fidelity with a decent sampling frequency. And actually, here in VR, you're probably going to hear me more clearly than what you'll hear on YouTube with YouTube's compression, because I think all their videos are compressed to 160K at 41 kilohertz. So and I think here we're coming through at least 320K, or maybe at least 192. I think it's better than that though. I'd have to look. I don't know the actual specs, but it's pretty fascinating.
Nerd.
Yeah, I am a nerd, and I swear, I think we're having some lingering effects from last week's podcast. Your head just spun around again. Are you sure you're not possessed, my friend? I think it was the way you were seating. Like if you let's try lowering yourself down again. Just a little bit like place. Yep, your head's like tucking in itself. You became turtle. That is so weird. It wasn't doing that
I
earlier.
must disappear.
I'm easily amused. There's the ADHD moments again, right?
Uh-huh.
But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Ooh.
Oh, shiny.
Yep.
ADOS, what?
Yo.
Yes, attention deficit. Ooh, shiny. Hey, look, a cloud. Anyway. Oh,
Yeah,
speaking of clouds.
that reminds me of the joke of a joke that I heard from a comedian. And I was just scrolling through like YouTube shorts and stuff, and just scrolling through, and I found this one joke that was pretty much saying, okay, with people who, in his words, with people who suffer with ADHD, why did the person who made that word give it such a long name?
I know.
It appears that you were, it appears you have the symptom of attention deficit. Are you listening to me? And then it was just like, oh,
Yeah.
but what about the one with dyslexia? Like, they
I don't even
couldn't
know
have
how to
spelled
spell
that any
dyslexia.
harder. What?
You're not
Oh,
wrong.
But, like,
Omni's commenting
the
again.
comedian was just
Meow meow. Meow 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 meow.
comedian was just going on saying like, oh well, what about dyslexia? Like they couldn't make that any more of a messed up word. Like, oh, let's throw an X in there. Oh, how about a Y? Fuck them. Let them figure it out. Try and spell
Yeah.
that one, you bastards. It's like, god damn, why you gotta be so
There went our
mean?
rating. uh,
Rating?
who needs ratings anyway? Yeah, let's test it. Hey, Omni, come over here and wave at the camera for a second. Say hello to everyone. You cute little kitty cat. I know, I know you don't have your other controller right this minute, do you? That's okay, cause yeah. Oh
Come
goodness.
on.
Omni here. This is
I mean,
our cameraman and editor. This is Omni. So when you hear us kind of go off on a tangent or reply to somebody, this is who we're talking to. You might not always be able to hear him because he always has himself muted when he's recording for the most part because he doesn't want any background noise to come through.
he's supposed to be
But
the
yeah,
cameraman.
but sometimes he'll
You know,
comment or
the one
something.
that's
So if
not
you see us reply to
talking.
somebody, that's who it is. Hi, cutie. Anyway, love you too, dear. But yeah. The kitty ran away. Typical. Why do they always do that? Cats.
I mean, it's just kind of in their nature.
Yeah.
Voice crack again.
I love cats though.
Woo.
Sweetie,
Yeah.
I'm in my late
I
30s
love
and
my
mine will
baby
still
kitty.
crack, and I don't know why. He's a good kitty. Oh, someone got head pets.
Oh, hush.
That is just too cute. It's so wholesome, am I right? Heart. You can't spell the word wholesome without the wholesome of the word, am I right?
I did. I
Aw,
died.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I just have to let it happen. I guess it wasn't very funny. Anyway,
Oh, man.
yeah. Yee. Rarf. So, yeah. But I always have been fascinated with tech, and just seeing how much things have changed throughout my lifetime alone is just insane. And I can't imagine where it's going to be in another 20 years. Like, going from just simple landline phones, pay phones, to having phones you carry in your pocket that's basically a whole computer with internet. You can Google things on the fly, watch movies, videos, whatever you want on your phone. Take photos. That's another thing. Like, I'm a photographer, and I used to shoot with Polaroid film and 35mm film growing up. And now we have digital cameras that can do things that those film cameras couldn't. I still love shooting on film because there's a quality you get with film that you just don't with digital yet. Like certain types of just the way the colors come out, the way they just feel and look is unique on film. But we've got cameras with resolutions that can outdo 35mm film. We can see things that we couldn't. We can get color depths, depths of field that we couldn't before. We have like high dynamic range photography where you layer multiple photos together and you can get where a photo where everything's in focus from front to back when you don't have a fixed focal point. And it's just fascinating, mind blowing what you can do with photography nowadays, just from change in tech. And I'm excited and a little scared to see where we are in 20 years when it comes to tech. I don't know about you, DJ, but I think we're going to see some big changes here soon. Yeah. What will VR be like in 15 years or 20 years? Who knows?
Uh,
But I think it's about time we end this one as well. It's gotten a bit long as well. I think we're coming up on time, but um, yeah. I guess we'll see you in the next one. As always, stay safe. Love you guys. Stay fluffy.
don't worry. Be furry. Love you guys. Bye.
Cheers. Ta-ta.